Veli, thank you very much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership. But before we go into the future, can you tell us a little bit about your own background?
About the past before the future. Okay.
That's right.
So my name is Veli Ngubane. I was born in Manguzi, KwaMhlabelingana. That's northern Natal. Most people know it as Kosi Bay.
Right.
Yeah. So at a hospital called Mseleni Hospital. So that's where I was born, in rural KZN.
And what was your dream career when you grew up?
When I grew up, I always knew I wanted to do something that makes me money. So I was quite a strange kid. I never really wanted a dream career. I never really wanted to be a doctor. I never really wanted to be a lawyer. I was very interested in who owns what. So from a very young age, I would ask, my mom drove a VW Jetta, and my earliest memory was, who makes these cars and who sells them to you? And when we went to the dealership, I would ask about ownership. So I've been very interested in ownership and the economy. So I later found out that was entrepreneurship that I was interested in. But from hiring out my bicycle to friends to playing soccer and putting a money element into it where you challenge other streets and other teams and stuff like that. So I've really always been interested in how the economy runs. And I know it's quite hectic for a 6-7-year-old, but I guess I was that kid.
Right. And who inspired you in those early days?
My uncles. My uncles were very inspirational and still are. My mom as well. We come from a very academic and closely knit family. So my role models were my uncles. I saw success through their eyes. Education, I remember from the earliest age, I used to attend graduations. So that sense of achievement, whether it's academics, setting out a goal and achieving it, was a very inspirational thing. So in attending graduations, and in seeing my uncles prosper in their personal lives and in their careers was always a source of inspiration for me.
So Veli, what attracted you to the advertising industry?
Well, I think the advertising industry kind of chose me because I was running a business in Cape Town. So I studied at UCT. I studied law, economics, and politics. And then I started a business after that. And the type of business that I was in gave me a lot of free time. And then I thought I should study marketing as well, just to fill and to be able, because I thought running a business, marketing is a very vital part to take your product out. So I got to know of a school called Red and Yellow, which is a marketing school. And I registered for a postgraduate after I'd finished my UCT degree. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. And then I met Philip Island and Jason Knight, who were part of a company called Island Devonport at the time. They came to the school, I think it was Careers Week, got to speak to them, had a lunch with them, and they told me even more about the world of advertising, and that's really how I joined.
And today you're the chairman, I believe, of Red and Yellow?
Yeah, of the advisory board of Red and Yellow. So they're a school that is very close to my heart.
Right.
And the service on the advisory board came naturally to me. I believe transformation in our industry is lacking. I believe that it starts from education and schooling. So if you can get more black students in the system, you'll get more black students working. I think there's always an expectation that black professionals just pop up of nowhere, but it starts with education. So with being chairman of the board, I can influence that journey from the beginning, rather having the pressure of saying we don't have black copywriters. We don't have black creatives. But we wouldn't if they're not studying it as a career of choice. And that's why even when I speak at platforms, because, our people, and I think people in general, but mostly so our parents, don't understand that you can have a career in creativity. Right. It's almost, I think, across society, though, it's seen as a risky thing to do. So to be an example of someone that left law to the creative space and achieving this reasonable success that I have, encourages more people to take up a course or to take up a career in creativity and the advertising industry.
So, Veli, what's your vision for the future of advertising, the future of the industry?
So, that is a very good topic, and it's something that's very interesting to me because the industry is changing. The way we have done stuff for a long time has changed with the influence of technology, data, and a faster pace of advertising. I think technology has been the biggest influence and the biggest danger to some that don't adapt to it. So everything that we do now is affected by data, is affected by technology. There's a book that I'm reading at the moment by Ryan Holiday called Growth Hacker Marketing. Right. Which exactly that. It represents the future of marketing. It questions whether the traditional methods of marketing are still as effective, because with social media, we also have a more sophisticated consumer. So putting up a billboard alone or putting up a TV messaging doesn't convince people as much as it used to. People question it. People can now discuss it on social media. People know more about your product than ever before, because if I've had a bad experience with a certain product, I'll voice my sentiment out. So the future of advertising is tech. The future of advertising is innovation. So creativity won't stand alone. It's going to be very data-driven and tech-based. So advertising agencies will move more into the tech space, with the product development side coming very strongly to say, how do we make consumers... Because what we have as agencies is that, and what we should have, or what most agencies have, is insight and understanding of the customer. Right. Now, whether you prescribe that and you adapt it to a marketing message or a product message, then it's different. This book, Growth Hacker Marketing, is one I'd recommend. It talks about the growth of Uber, which is a growth marketer strategy. They didn't do much advertising. It talks about Airbnb, the referrals, and internet-based companies like Amazon and how they grew. So as we grow into more internet-based businesses as well, we'll need agencies and advertisers that are thoroughly thorough in the understanding of technology and data.
Right. Now, as much as we're navigating the digital economy today, and as much as tech is taking over, how important is the human touch, in your opinion?
The human touch will always be important in the insights, in the understanding of what the insight is. But what data and technology can do is help us validate those human insights, help us have an array of options that we as advertisers can choose to follow. So what it does is that it gives us more highways, more paths of decisions, and it makes us, we talk about the Internet of Things, where your fridge will be able to give data on your behavior. So as a human at the end advertising to you, if at all you still need that human, I'm able to have enough information about a consumer, a customer, that can make me communicate with them effectively.
And really looking back over your career, Would you say there was a major turning point where things could have gone different, but you took a certain decision in direction?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. Things could go a certain direction every day, But I've always had an entrepreneurial view that whether it's good or whether it's bad, continuing and following a certain vision is the war. Right. What happens between is just the battles. So I'm pretty steadfast and very stubborn and very protective of my vision. And that's why even with our agency Avatar, we haven't sold it. We are one of the biggest agencies in the country, the biggest black-owned agency. And a lot of, if you know anything about our industry, is that it's mostly foreign-owned. Now, our vision to have an agency network for Africans, by Africans, has remained critical. And even in people dangling certain opportunities, certain money, we steadfast that we are going towards a vision. So I'm not easily distracted. And I think the vision of growing this agency, the vision of making an impact in the advertising landscape, not only in South Africa, but Africa, keeps me focused towards that vision.
Now, really on a personal level, what is driving you today?
To see change. I'm very much driven by progress. I have been since I was a child. I think what inspires me is growth. Seeing our agency grow to over 100 people with the billings that we have, that keeps me inspired. The responsibility I have to the economy. I strongly believe that entrepreneurship is the only way to really change economies. I think as Africa and as South Africa, we can't solely rely on raw minerals and digging up stuff off the ground. It has sustained us, but we've got a creative economy to unleash, and that's what inspires me. And the barrier to entry in that economy is not tools, it's not trucks, it's thinking. And the raw material is actually thinking. So when I see people, Bahliza Makoneni, sitting on the corners of townships, that is the factory. Their insights are the factory. Their thoughts are the factory. So until we can unleash this creative economy, we've got a dormant giant in this economy. And we've seen economies being built of creativity and innovation. You look at Silicon Valley. All they do is sell to the rest of the world is thinking. You look at Hollywood. What they're selling is thinking. So what inspires me and keeps me motivated is establishing, maintaining, and making sure that I leave my mark in building this creative economy for South Africa and the continent.
Now, Veli, let's talk about leadership.
Yeah.
What does the future of leadership mean to you?
In a political sense, in a leadership sense, which I think, if you put the view of changing Africa, I would firstly like a younger leadership in Africa. I think the age of our presidents is always a concern to me. When you've got the average age of 65 and people that in all other fields would be retired, still running for presidency. So I think that would change a lot for the destination of the world and for the destination of our continent. Responsible leadership. I think that is always a big thing, a leadership that is loving and is accountable to its people. I place God quite highly in my priority, number one, in fact. So I also subscribe to a God-fearing leadership. Right. And the principles of Christianity is what I use in my own leadership style. So accountability, God-like leadership, and leadership with values for progress. But I think the biggest thing that we're faced with, especially as a continent, is having an aging leadership. So, and there's a disconnect because we are going to have the youngest population. So surely the leaders should match the aspirations and the view of the population in terms to change. So that's where I see. I hope I haven't offended any presidents.
And Veli, tell us from your own journey, from your own experience, what are the qualities that you would like to see in future leaders?
Integrity. I think integrity, vision, and care. For a leader to be successful, they have to have a vision that is greater than their current reality. So the desire sometimes to see things as they are and kind of deal with things as they are and not see a future vision doesn't make for a great leader. That's why I loved when our current president, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, was saying that he has vision of building a city. Now, less visionaries would have said, but we've got immediate problems. We've got potholes. Good and well. We've got that. We've got immediate challenges. But a good leader should be able to balance the current situation, but also have a vision that is beyond the current situation. So that the nation, so that the company, if they're business people, can see a greater reality than what is currently there. In my company now, Avatar, there's current daily challenges and daily realities. And I think if I concentrated on that, we would probably carry on. But for us to actually start growing in leaps and bounds, we have to have a sustainable way to manage the business as it is, but also dream of something even bigger so that we can have this horizon that we're working towards. And that, for me, is a big leadership principle. Vision and integrity is high on my priority of the qualities.
Now, Veli, as a leading creator and a creative director on the continent, what are the sources? How do you activate your creativity? What are the sources you tap into to be inspired and come up with new ideas?
I'm a sponge. The school that I went to, Red and Yellow, had a big sign as you enter saying, "Be a sponge." Creativity is about observation. That's the base of creativity. So the more you observe society, the more you look at people's behaviors, the better creative you can be. So I find myself in very awkward situations where I'm sitting alone at a restaurant and look very stalkerish because I'm looking at the behavior of people, behavior of couples, their interaction with their children, because everyone is volunteering insights, everywhere they go. Luckily enough, now we can even look into social media, look into your internet activity to find out the information that you volunteering. I mean, I always say Facebook is an insights company, not a social media. People are giving away a lot of data and information. Now, ours as creatives is to observe and turn that into insight, because therein lies creativity. You cannot be successful in this industry unless you observe it and you can turn those observations into insights that lead to good creative.
Now, Veli, when you speak to aspiring leaders, what is it you tell them? How should they navigate and communicate on social media to build their own personal brand?
So I always, there was a long debate in the recent years that people shouldn't think of themselves as brands. And I think that's rubbish. People should think of themselves as brands. They should handle themselves as brands because if you aspire to be a CEO, you must behave like a CEO from day one. Right. You mustn't change or try to delete, because the sad thing these days is that the internet never forgets. So your opinions are forever locked. So start from day one. Start walking the walk. start reading the things, start sharing the content that you want to share, you would share as a CEO in the future. So personal branding is very important to me. I always say in my talks, also don't throw stones in the dark because you never know who you will hit. So some conversation that you might have had 5 years at Tasha's saying, Veli is this, and then there comes a time where we need to meet and do business, and those news, so be careful of what you say. I think people have a fascination about gossiping, about talking about other people. You know, stick to your own knitting, mind your own business, and do the work. And as I've grown in entrepreneurship, people will say a lot of things about you. Your only response should be work. People say a lot of things about a lot of things. But the quality of your work and perfecting your skills should be paramount rather than having coffees over people's names and stuff like that. So treating yourself as a brand from the beginning, behaving with the integrity of knowing who you want to become, even before you become that person, is very important journey. You are pitching on that brand, and somehow you said, so that's very important.
And Veli, what is your favorite social media network when it comes to building the brand Veli Ngubane?
I like Twitter, at the Nduna on Twitter. I like Twitter because I think it's not polite. People are. It's a very accurate view on society. I think for me, Facebook got very family and friendly. But I think in terms of cutting edge, in terms of things launching and people discussing them, I like following the news. I like following what's breaking, how people are feeling, the sentiments. And I think the social media I like is Twitter because it's current and it's raw. People are saying exactly what they think, which I appreciate.
Now, Veli, as a mentor to future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored somebody and that person took your advice to heart?
Oh, I've got a few. I've got a few. So I mentor quite freely and informally, from mentoring via WhatsApp to people coming to speak to me. A lot of people in the company, including Knox, my PA, is always wondering how someone can DM me and I have the meeting. I believe in full access to me, whether it's in a mall, whether it's an event. What I do, I love wholeheartedly. I can talk about entrepreneurship. It's my favorite topic. So for me, it's not a bother. So the people that I have mentored formally have gone on to start their own agencies, have gone on to do very great things even as freelancers. But I think I share my lifestyle, I share my thoughts, and I share a lot of articles. I share what I'm reading. I share where I'm going on my social media. And I think a lot of people that follow me see and have a window to my life, the good, the bad, the low moments I tweet, the victories. So I use that also as a platform of sharing, and not from a sense of knowing, from a sense of learning, because a lot of people that mentor people think it's a one-way stream. So when I mentor a young person, I'm getting mentored in youth culture as much as I'm mentoring him. I mean, at 35 that I am now, meeting a 22-year-old, 23-year-old teaches me as much as I teach them. So I also think mentorship is dual. And as much as I can share my experiences, what I've done in the years that I've been doing what I do, I open up mentorship as an opportunity to be mentored myself.
Right. Now, Veli, are there any role models of leadership and maybe books about leadership that you would recommend future leaders should read, learn from?
The book that I hold quite dearly, it's a short book, It's Who Moved My Cheese.
Oh.
You know, it's a very short book. Who Moved My Cheese. That's a very good mentorship book. As I said, I subscribe to the principles of Christianity, so a lot of my guidance comes from Christian belief, and I think these days it's very dangerous to just follow people blindly as mentors, because with the opening up of social media and people's lives, some of the weaknesses are not protected. So I always say, try take something from someone, but don't idolize the person.
Right.
Because I think the disappointment when you are shown the full version of the person, and we all have full versions.
Right.
Nelson Mandela had a full version, Barack Obama had a full version. But if you could get something that you appreciate from each person that you either follow on social media or you've read their book, but I always shy away from having role models, because people are people, and idolizing and having role models could lead to disappointment the closer you get to that person's person.
Right. Now, Veli, how can our listeners connect with you, and where should they follow you?
All right, so they can connect with me at the Nduna. So that is my Twitter handle, and really that's the base. I've got an article. So I believe, I had a belief that a lot of black creatives weren't celebrated in this country, and sometimes you see the work and you never know that it comes from a young person that is just like you, comes from the same place as you. And just to motivate, because I come from Gwamhlabi, I have to motivate people from there that they can follow the career that I've come. There's people from Tembisa, there's people from Soweto, that are behind these adverts, but then when you see these campaigns and these adverts, you might not know that it's from a person that looks just like you, that might be from the same background as you. So I've got a column on Mark Lives. So if you search Mark Lives, it's called Young, Gifted and Killing It, where I profile young black creatives that are killing the game. So that is it's called YGK. But me personally, I share a lot of my thoughts on at the Nduna, at the Chief, on Twitter.
Right. And really, last but not least, is there one piece of advice that you would really like to convey to future leaders that they should implement in their own lives?
Don't give up, don't give up. Society is conformist. Society wants you to conform. And sometimes even the people that are closest to you might not understand your journey, because they want a point or a sense of reference. Now, when you are a leader, by virtue of you being a leader means you are doing something different, and you are breaking barriers. So the people around you might not understand what your vision is. Like when we started Avatar, as an advertising agency, a lot of people were like, but is there a space for a black-owned agency? But with all these multinationals, where will you find the gap? Now, we knew what we needed to do, and we knew the type of work that it required. And the people around us will always doubt, because they've never seen a successful black-owned agency. So people doubt what they haven't seen. So it's to stick to your vision, stick to your guns, but above all, never give up. Because doubt comes with entrepreneurship. We wake up thinking, I've got a law degree. There's times when I thought, wouldn't it have been more stable for me to follow a career in law, work for a nice big law firm, right, and forget about this entrepreneurship thing. But had I given up, over 100 people wouldn't have employment today, and a lot more that see the success of Avatar and want to emulate it or want to do even something bigger. So the base of it, my number one advice is create a vision, work hard for it, and don't give up.
Well, really, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom.
Thank you.
And for showing us a way.
Thank you.
In not only transforming an industry, but showcasing the young creative minds.
Thank you. Yeah, young, gifted, and killing it on Mark Lives.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.